Wait, if it's an illusion, why do you say that I already have it? Well, because you do. Just because it's an illusion doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Let's look at Webster's dictionary to see what it describes illusion as. A misleading image presented to the... No. Something that deceives or misleads intellect. Oh, no. No. Wait. Aha! Perception of something objectively existing in such a way as to cause misinterpretation of its actual nature, meaning that it looks totally different than what it seems, which causes it to be an illusion. That's it though. Charisma. Nobody has it in their actual nature. It becomes part of person's illusion over time and effort. If you don't do anything at all and expect to be charismatic, it's not gonna happen. Even if you do have great genes, or if you're athletic, or you look good, it doesn't mean you're gonna be charismatic. You actually have to work in order to create that illusion. And yes, I realize that having better genes or having just a better DNA or looking handsome, i.e. the examples you're seeing on the screen right now, does play a big part on how much you'd have to work on creating that illusion. And for some it can be much easier because they already are naturally gifted, but for some it could be a little bit more difficult. That doesn't mean you cannot create the illusion for charisma. And once you create the illusion, you are charismatic, basically. That's it, the end. Now, there are a few steps that I want to mention so that you can have an easier way of understanding what it is you can try to do to create this illusion. And step one would be listening. Wow, you already did it. That's great. You're one step closer to charisma. But let's delve into it a little bit more to understand what it really is. Listening sounds easy, but it really isn't that much. Think back to when you were in class listening to a teacher, or you're talking to a colleague and you're discussing a certain task that needs to be done or finished. Suddenly you start thinking about what's for lunch or what you're gonna do when you go home, or everything else literally in life starts to seem more interesting than the topic at hand, the things that you need to listen to right now, and you kind of start to zoom away or zoom out. And I get it. I'm the same. Zooming away is not an issue, and it's not gonna hold you back from being charismatic. The only issue is you have to somewhat try to be present and to listen to the person that you're speaking to or that's speaking to you. It can be difficult because think about it, even when you're reading a book, sometimes you end up repeatedly reading the same paragraph over and over and over and over and over and over again because you're just not in there. You're just not in the moment and you've zoomed out. Your brain is thinking of all kinds of different things and that paragraph just doesn't seem too interesting right now. But it's important to try and familiarize yourself in an environment that you are in. What I'm trying to get to is you don't have to seem charismatic to your teacher or to your colleague, but it's a start, and it's a good start because you're already in that habitat. Try to practice listening to them, giving 100% of yourself. Once you realize that you understand what they're saying and you're present in their sentences, it's gonna feel so much better and you're gonna acknowledge so much more, and you're gonna get to the next steps of creating your charisma. If you're a great listener, people will want to talk to you more. When you're a great listener, you're also a person that can speak back in a much clearer way. Let's move on. Okay, stop. No. This is very boring. Nope. It's okay. You can zoom out. We'll find the charisma in some other way, it's fine. Second is showing enthusiasm. When you're listening to someone, you would need to show that you're interested in what you're listening to, because if you look like this and you show your attention to all sorts of things except for the person talking to you, it's not gonna look good and it's not gonna look charismatic. Let's try this out. Why don't you, whatever topic you want, whatever you want to tell me, make sure it's a bit short because I don't want to sit here just looking at the camera and annoy people. Try to talk to me. And if you're in an environment you can't talk, just try thinking about something and I'll show you how I'm listening. Then I'll show you how I'm listening, well, without too much care and while zooming out. So this is me listening to you empathetically. Okay, so let's try to make it look like I'm listening to you, but I'm really distracted. Now I'm gonna try not to break eye contact once again. I know it can get disturbing. Feel free to look away every now and then. But even while I'm holding eye contact, you're gonna realize I'm actually not listening to you. Okay. I hope that was efficient enough because I was trying to constantly think of something else. And if it didn't work, that means I'm too charismatic? Let's move on. The third step would be something similar to showing enthusiasm. It's empathy. Understanding the other side. It's not just listening, but trying to feel what they're feeling when they're telling it. So, if I try and tell you something with excitement, the way I'm doing it right now, and if you start feeling the same excitement within you, that's perfect. Because you're showing empathy. You're showing that you're listening to me. You're showing that you're enthusiastic about listening to me, and you're feeling what I'm feeling, which is showing empathy. That is literally the best way you can listen to someone, and it would evidently lead for you to be charismatic. And if I'm trying to tell you a sad story and I just feel down and I don't know what to do anymore, and you start feeling the same kind of down feelings and sort of depressed thoughts, that's perfect. You're showing empathy. You've done it. That was literally step 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. Don't worry too much about steps. I just want to show it in a kind of stepped manner so that you can follow it much easier. I'm sorry if the steps make it uncharismatic, but you can't always be perfectly charismatic. Let's move on. Well, step 4 is quite similar to the other steps. It's being present. When you're listening to someone, it's obvious that to be a good listener, you have to be present. I've actually talked about this in the first step, but it's important to distinguish that when I gave you the example earlier, in both examples, I was present, or it seemed I was present. I was here, I was listening to you, I was even nodding every now and then. But in the first one, I was actually enthusiastic about it, and it helped contribute in me being also present. I'm here right now. I want to be here right now. If you don't want to be here right now, if you don't want to be, for instance, in class, in that moment, you're not going to be able to enthusiastically listen to your teacher. You have to accept that you're there right now, and nothing is more important than being in the present. Once you can establish the idea that whatever else you'd want to do or wherever else you'd rather be is unimportant in that moment, in the current situation, then you can start being present. Once you're present, it's so much easier to be enthusiastic, to be empathetic. Maybe I should have put being present as the first step, truthfully. Miscommunicated there just a little bit, but think about it as a first step. Be present, and then start listening to that person. Be empathetic, be enthusiastic. When I did my research, I realized that I don't quite agree with step 5. I know many people are gonna be disagreeing with me and are gonna be upset with me for speaking like this, but step 5 would be enhancing communication skills or improving them. So that would be improving your speaking or your body language, how you show yourself to the other side. I want to disprove this by stopping using my hands. Right now, I'm going to try and not to use any body language at all. And I want to give an example of a great actor that many people, actually almost the entire world, I think loves. Keanu Reeves. His acting, especially in Matrix or other movies, you must have seen, is incredibly dull. He almost doesn't use any facial expression, which is maybe why his face is still in perfect condition even at his age. He doesn't do, for instance, this for a surprise. You can literally tell he's almost using no emotion on his face, but he's still a great actor. His body language is, in my opinion, almost basically none. And think about Leonardo DiCaprio, sorry. Leonardo DiCaprio right now. His body language is incredibly improved, right? Or advanced. And you can see he even has like a mark here, even when he's not putting his eyebrows together like that. Because he's constantly in movies, in many movies, very expressive with his face. I'd argue that both Keanu Reeves and Leonardo DiCaprio are quite charismatic. So improving your body language doesn't have to be a necessity. Think back to John Wick. John Wick, or Keanu Reeves, almost speaks nothing at all. He has very few sentences. He rarely speaks. You don't necessarily have to be a perfect English speaker. It can be difficult to talk to someone, especially when you're afraid people will mock you. I used to be a sort of English teacher, not quite, but a moderator at a place where we'd meet every week from 7 to 9 p.m. I'd have these classes with these people, 10 people, 15 people sometimes, and we'd talk. What did you do that day? And different topics. We would talk about everything, and I would see, especially in some students, they would be afraid. They would be having the ability to speak, I could tell. For instance, when we would give a break, I would talk to them privately, and they have an amazing English capability of speaking. But for some reason, when it's in class, they don't speak because they're afraid. It's kind of this fear of public speaking. You don't have to be afraid. Even if you only use certain sentences, even if you have a very low vocabulary, like myself, and I believe I don't really have the greatest vocabulary. But as long as I can make my point clear to you, and as long as I can talk to you, and as long as you understand what I'm saying, that's all that matters. And don't be afraid to tell people, could you please maybe slow down? Could you talk a bit slower? I have difficulty understanding. People are so much more understanding than you believe. The idea that people are mean or will mock you has come from all of the social media. Everybody looks like a winner and everybody wants to act like a winner. But you must understand that people are incredibly empathetic, especially towards people that are honest with their speaking skills. This will actually make you much more charismatic. You're honest about not being able to understand when somebody speaks too fast. So you're telling them, could you please maybe slow down a little bit? I really want to understand you. I really want to hear what you're saying, but I have difficulty. Don't be afraid to be honest when you're talking to people, which is why I disagree with enhancing or improving your articulation, or the way you're speaking, vocabulary, or body language, right? You don't have to do that. Think back to John Wick. He almost never speaks. He doesn't use almost any body language except for guns. Don't use guns. But he's still charismatic, and so can you. As I was disagreeing with step 5, I've actually started talking about step 6, which, if you think about it, is step 5, because I didn't agree with step 5. Step 5, in my opinion, is building confidence. That's what I was saying from the beginning, right? You have to build that confidence. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid talking in a group. If people want to mock you, that's their lack of confidence. That's their lack of charisma. Trust me, you're gonna look so much more charismatic than they do when you speak with half words or with a really thick accent. nobody will mock you or look at you in a way that would be disrespectful. And if they do, that's even better for you because you will look even more charismatic. You, in spite everything, in spite that person mocking you very clearly or laughing from the side or talking from behind your back, you're still confident enough to speak up, to tell your mind. It can be hard stepping out of that comfort zone, but once you unlock your tongue, once you believe that no matter how you speak, it still is worth it, you're charismatic. You're charismatic, trust me. Why don't you try it with me if you have the ability to do so right now? If you're in an environment where you can talk, try to whisper, it's fine. Try and tell me something, whatever you did that day. For instance, what are your plans for the rest of the day? That's great. I don't know if you were continuing to talk, but please do so. You can stop the video. Continue talking. I'll give you a quick shot of my face listening to you, and you stop right there and you talk to me. Because I'd love to listen to you, no matter who you are or where you're from. Alright, see how easy it is to be charismatic. Let's move on to the last step now. Be authentic. And if you've watched my previous video, authenticity is quite difficult. It can be so difficult in many areas of the world. But I don't agree with that necessarily to be completely original. For me, authenticity comes from repeating others or even copycatting other people. If there's somebody that you really enjoy the way they talk and the way they act, go ahead and imitate them. Copy them. It's totally fine, even if it's somebody from within the circle. Let's assume you go to this 10 people group and everybody's talking there, and you see a man named Dave, let's say, and Dave, the way he talks is just so amazing. You want to be like Dave. You want to be able to speak like Dave or Cindy, it doesn't matter. The way they talk, the way they make their hands. Try to imitate them outside of that circle maybe. I'm not saying don't do it in the circle, but odds are, if you do it in the circle, people might look at you as, well, why are you trying so hard to be Dave? Sometimes people can be harsh, and I don't want you to experience something like this. That's why I'm saying, when you're out there talking to somebody else, try to be like Dave. Think back to Dave. Think back to his confidence. Make sure that you believe in yourself and try to imitate that confidence. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing wrong with starting to use your hands like this. It seems ridiculous, but if you enjoy it, go ahead and copy me. It's totally fine. It can help because it's not just your voice anymore, it's your body. It's helping you speak. It's helping you talk. I believe that becoming authentic is a crucial part of building that illusion of charisma and then showing and expressing that charisma around you. But it's totally fine to copy others. Now, being authentic has another meaning within itself. It's staying true to who you are, to your values. When you believe in a certain idea, don't just back down from it because there's another idea that's much more popular or people disagree with you constantly. Defend yourself in a respectful way without really attacking people. Let your ideas be heard. Tell them what you believe in. If there's an opinion at hand, and if somebody says, I don't believe the zombie apocalypse will ever happen, it doesn't make sense, but you're an avid believer in zombies and that one day it will happen. You even have a bat hidden underneath your bed, and when the time comes, you're ready to go full chaotic mode or the Walking Dead mode, right? Just because everybody is agreeing with Dave in that moment and everybody's saying, yeah, no, zombie apocalypse, that's nonsense. Don't just push yourself back and say, all right, nobody agrees with me. I don't want to speak right now. No, go ahead. Let your ideas be heard. Tell them why you believe that zombie apocalypse will happen, or why the idea is so entertaining to you that you even keep a bat underneath your bed. Don't tell them about the other knives or certain gear that you're hiding underneath there, like crossbow. Don't go too much into detail, but don't be afraid of expressing your authentic ideas and beliefs. And one last thing that I believe you have to make sure you're doing is talking to yourself. I think talking to yourself is one of the most important things in improving not just your charisma or illusion of charisma, but also improving the way you speak, the way you feel confident, your ideas. You will start thinking much smoother if especially English isn't your first language. But even if it is, it can be difficult to go out there and talk to people. But start talking to yourself. You can take a mirror, you can just walk around in the house and then talk to yourself, talk to the walls. It's totally fine. Talking to yourself will help in establishing many of these steps. You'll realize that it's really revolutionizing, I want to say. So you zoomed out, huh? It's totally fine. Guess what? I've got you covered. This is what I was talking about. Real short. Charisma. Nobody has it in their actual nature. It becomes part of person's illusion over time and effort. Listening, second, is showing enthusiasm. It's empathy. Understanding the other side. Being present. Step 5, building confidence. Be authentic. Don't be afraid of expressing your authentic ideas and beliefs. Talking to yourself. And that's it. You're charismatic. Trust me, you are. And if you still don't feel charismatic, don't worry. It doesn't happen overnight. It will come to you over time. Just follow these steps. Follow these ideas and try to make them important in your life. Maybe take a notebook with you if you can't remember them. And read them every now and then and try to apply them in your own personal or work life. You'll see how much more charismatic you are, even if you have genes that you believe aren't that great. There are no bad genes. All genes are beautiful, and everybody's beautiful in their own way. But you still might believe that you're ugly or that you're not worth talking to. That's not true. But still, if you feel this way, trust me, you can be charismatic. First of all, believe. If you don't believe in it, nobody else will. You must believe that you have the illusion for charisma. You too are just as charismatic as Dave or Cindy or whomever. And once you believe in it, you can apply these steps, and then you're charismatic. You are. That's the end of the video. You can actually turn off the video right now. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much. Please make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.